لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
May the 29th every year is Democracy Day in Nigeria. Since 1999, the day has been set aside to commemorate the return of democracy in the country and to also demonstrate the commitment of Nigerians to make it work. 2018 is therefore not any different, and the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari used the occasion to celebrate its 3 years in office. It was an occasion for reflections and stock-taking in order to determine how government and its various components such as ministries, departments and agencies have fared in actualizing the policies and programs of the APC administration. For many of them, it has been 3 years of steady progress, having been spurred by the guiding principles of transparency and accountability put in place by the Buhari administration. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NAHCON, has been very visible in this regard. This is as a result of the reforms introduced at the Commission under the leadership of Barrister Abdullahi Mukhtar Muhammad, whose appointment coincided with the coming on stream of the APC administration in 2015. These reforms have made significant impact on the operations of the Commission, especially in the areas of service delivery to pilgrims. These include efficiency in airlift operations, improvement in quality of pilgrims' accommodation in Mecca and Medina and reduction in their rates, direct landing in Medina before Arafat, improvement in quality of buses secured for the transportation of pilgrims in Saudi Arabia, and improvement of pilgrims' welfare in Mina, Arafat and Muzdalifah. Other achievements are securing a permanent headquarters for NAHCON, relocation of NAHCON head office from Jeddah to Mecca, reduction of dependence on the federal government for financial support, tackling corruption and related malpractices, as well as refunds to pilgrims for services not rendered or poorly provided.
And I have witnessed so many changes that deserve to be commended, especially under this administration. I have participated as one of the da'iyah, one of the preachers, one of the guides of pilgrims during the Hajj. And I've realized that the system has been systemized, has been upgraded, and so many cumbersome arrangements and replications and duplications have been removed, such that you have direct access to the pilgrims and you can talk to them individually or collectively in their rooms or during the prayers or after any of the prayers. And this is a very, very good achievement.
It's a major sign of improvement, especially when you compare it with what it used to be before. When people used to go to Hajj camp, sleep in an open place, but this time around you have a well-equipped Hajj camp with good water supply, with mattresses for people to sleep, and indeed the security arrangement was also good.
You know, we are representative of people. We do observe what our people want, and we urge the authorities concerned to provide our people with what they want and what they deserve. The pilgrims pay their money, so we will make sure that pilgrims benefit from all what they have paid for. So that is the area that I think we can assist NAHCON, we can assist our pilgrims to see that they were provided with all they paid.
Under the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, there has been a lot of transformation and changes in terms of the organization, the planning, and even the conduct of the Hajj exercise. This is because initially, most of our pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia, they go on the pilgrimage without even knowing what they are expected to do. But under this present administration, here we are, when both the pilgrims, the officials, and even the media team that are covering the Hajj exercise are being educated, they are being enlightened, they are being taught, they are being trained in seminars, workshops, and even conferences to even understand the ethics of what the pilgrimage is all about.
In the 3 years of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, NAHCON's achievements have been most visible in the airlift of pilgrims. Today, pilgrims are airlifted on schedule, which is a departure from the past when it was common practice for Nigerian pilgrims to be left behind on account of poor arrangements. In 2005 alone, over 10,000 pilgrims missed the Hajj exercise as a result of the inability of officials to airlift them to the Holy Land.
The outbound schedule and the inbound schedule. These were able to reduce the numbers of days, and the era of sleeping in the airport is gone. Pilgrims cannot stay more than 18 to 12 hours at the airport before departure. So because we operate based on the capacity of each carrier, and we don't open all the airports at a time. You close there before you go to the next airport. By this, we have been able to reduce the era of sleeping at the airport.
We commended them because somebody to airlift a large number of people to pilgrims and provide them with all, beside all the challenges, you know, take them to Medina, Mecca, the Mashair. It's not an easy task. So if any authority that was able to perform that kind of assignment, I think it's deserved to be commended.
The planning starts immediately after return journey, which is initially, you know, they don't do that. So this has created an avenue for planning, for arrangement, to carry everybody along, including the zonal offices and state pilgrims welfare boards, to ensure that they plan, they coordinate to ensure a successful Hajj operation from Nigeria as well as in Saudi Arabia.
In its effort to reduce cost, the Commission in 2015 decided to eliminate agents and deal directly with landlords. This made it possible for accommodation to be secured in choice areas of Markaziyya in Medina, where pilgrims are checked into 3- or 5-star hotels. With this development, NAHCON was able to negotiate prices of accommodation downwards.
Great improvements in our accommodation in both Mecca and Medina. One can see from the number of buildings that we used to take in terms of accommodation in 2014 compared to 2015, 2016, 2017 has reduced. If one put the figure of previous years, and this improvement is in terms of the capacity of the building, the quality of the building, and the proximity of the building to the Grand Holy Mosques in both Mecca and Medina.
In Mecca, where the state pilgrims boards were largely responsible for accommodation, the first step taken by the Commission was to abolish the old benchmark system after discovering that it was abused by some states in collaboration with accommodation providers.
We eradicate parallel benchmark to all accommodations. We took each accommodation on its merit. We go and inspect the house together with state, with the landlord, and with our market survey. We will tell you the houses cannot be more than 3,500 Saudi Riyal, because we will have done a market survey of property. So if the agent is not ready to give us, we'll ask the state to go and look for another house. That is why last year we did not have standard Hajj fare. What happened in state A, it will differ to what happened in state B.
Feeding arrangements have become part of the requirements set by the Saudi authority for the issuance of visa to pilgrims. Any country taking its pilgrims for Hajj must fulfill this requirement. The federal government has taken every step to ensure that Nigerians are served quality and hygienic meals during the Hajj. While in Medina, Nigerian pilgrims are fed twice with breakfast and dinner. They are also provided food in Mecca as well as Mashair during the stay in Mina and Arafat.
People who give pilgrims food, they have designated timings of giving pilgrims food, and they come to the hotels with food and give them the kind of food that they know how to eat. Unlike before, that we end up eating food from immigrants, you know, in Saudi, and you don't know how those foods were prepared. You find that you have a lot of cholera cases, diarrhea cases, dehydration, and many other things.
With prudent management of resources through savings, increase in offshore revenue and government capital allocation, the Commission finally secured the Metro Plaza building at Zakaria Maimalari Street, Central Business District, Abuja, to serve as the Commission's headquarters. Still on resource management and reduction of cost, there has been significant financial saving in the following areas: reduction in airfares, reduction in local charges, reduction in the cost of pilgrim suitcase. In compliance with the Saudi medical regulations, the Buhari-led administration reviewed the composition of the national medical team. It also redesigned it to become resilient, cost-effective, and responsive to meet the health needs of all pilgrims in line with international best practices. Achieve NAHCON's noble objective of improved coordination and harmonization of all Hajj-related medical services for the benefit of intending pilgrims. Register pilgrims through the newly introduced Electronic Medical Record, EMR.
It's the desire of the federal government of Nigeria to ensure that every Nigerian is adequately taken care of health-wise. That's why the government established this clinic here.
Known for its anti-corruption crusade, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari through NAHCON has been tackling the activities of illegal tour operators who are defrauding innocent Nigerians during Hajj and Umrah. To sanitize the system, NAHCON issued licenses to those operating legally and went after the illegal ones.
For the first time in the history of management of Hajj, in recent years, the rules and regulations governing the conduct of the Hajj was properly documented and eventually go through the process of gazetting. It becomes a law. Anybody who knows President Muhammadu Buhari knows that he is a man who believes in the rule of law, and whatever you will do, the first guiding thing you need to put in place is the rules of engagement. So now Hajj and Umrah activities in this country has rules and regulation that has been gazetted. The last 3 years has also witnessed tremendous improvements in terms of service delivery.
To be sure you are recognized within the industry, then you should take a permit. So that shows that really you have element of things that identify you as an operator. It's not just for an imam, a salatu operator to just say, okay, I'm operating Hajj and Umrah. So before you can claim you are an operator of Hajj and Umrah today, aside from being registered with the CAC, you also must obtain a permit at the minimum if you cannot take the license from the National Hajj Commission. So we believe through that there is a means to, control.
Our relationship with NAHCON is very cordial, very interesting. The most interesting part of it is putting the pilgrim first. We always work together, we always meet together, we always analyze issues towards making comfort for our pilgrims. We always try to make sure that we work towards a lot of policies and programs that will strengthen the industry.
Now tour operators are the most serious ones that you get. They will collect your money and make sure that you get service in return. Now, Hajj is seriously simplified.
The Commission, through investigations by its security committee, discovered that a lot of racketeering has been going on under the guise of facilitating the performance of sacrifice for pilgrims. Some self-appointed agents in Nigeria and Saudi Arabia were in the habit of collecting monies from pilgrims in the name of performing hadaya. In many instances, the hadaya were either underperformed or not done at all. To overcome the problem, NAHCON went into partnership with the Islamic Development Bank Adahi project through Jaiz Bank PLC, making it the only approved medium for hadaya collection.
Pilgrims from 2015 to date, you have an option to start from Nigeria, look for IDB office, pay your hadaya money, or in Saudi Arabia to pay it with your heart so clean, knowing that you are going to have your hadaya be done. But before, those 419ers are going through pilgrim's tent, asking for anybody wishing to pay for hadaya with the PEC receipt. You will pay them, assuming your hadaya is going to be performed. You will see it. But through these 3 years, really, pilgrims are now complying with this arrangement.
The Commission also introduced a harmonized system of covering and reporting Hajj activities through the establishment of a national media team for Hajj operations to ensure that Nigeria operated as a country and all media activities are properly managed and journalists given the necessary support to perform their duties.
These 3 years of Muhammadu Buhari is more fruitful, more transparent than the other years I knew. Because accountability was introduced into it. As a journalist, I could remember, let's say around 2008 and 9-10, we were only going there as a media man. But nobody cares where we are living. Some of us are living in Jeddah, some are living in Medina, some are living in Mecca. Even in Mecca, almost our 4 places. So before you know what is going on, you hear somebody write a story and send it, which will not be good for the country, or even the pilgrims themselves, because it's a story that will damage their effort, or even put their families in danger. But from 2015, they introduced what we call watchdog and accountability, whereby all journalists are keeping in one place. Your story will be one. What I am going to report is what we are going to report, because we are moving in a group. NAHCON set aside a vehicle for us, moving around. Whenever we have any story that needs to be confirmed, we need confirmations, we can rush to the NAHCON office, all of us get confirmations.
Plans are also underway to provide guidelines for journalists on Hajj beats. A committee saddled with this responsibility has been inaugurated. A veteran journalist, Bayo Atoyebi, heads the committee.
It is our duty to portray Islam in the best of our light, with the ability and endowment and the professionalism that it has pleased Allah to endow us. I want, on behalf of my colleagues, to thank the chairman and members of his board of commissioners for the confidence reposed in us. We will do our best, and we also will stand guided by your wisdom. I thank you very much.
Produce a code of conduct, code of ethics for the journalists that will even enlighten the pilgrims of what to do. And the code of ethics is not restricted to only Nigeria, but also the code of ethics, what is being practiced in Saudi Arabia, what is being practiced in Nigeria. How do we harmonize that in order to create a free way for the journalists to have a successful coverage of the Hajj exercise?
The campaign to create public awareness about Hajj exercise has been stepped up using different media platforms such as television, radio, newspapers, and the social media. Holding town hall meetings is another option used by NAHCON.
There have been intensifying efforts to ensure that all those that are involved in the Hajj exercise are really mobilized. How were they mobilized? 1, mobilization in education. 2, mobilization theoretically and practical. Both the pilgrims and those that will lead the pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia are enlightened. Not only that, but even the people that are owning the air carriers, those people that will participate in conveying pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia, are even educated on how to even handle and treat the pilgrims.
I was at the Hajj camp. I attended the trainings. The ulamas that were invited were vast, and even the environment over there was good. So this show a sign of improvement, much improvement. And indeed, what I've been watching on air seems to give a sign of great hope and for better things to come.
Furthermore, NAHCON is now deploying the use of information communication technology (ICT) to enhance efficiency in its operations. While making good use of the e-track system developed by Saudi government for pilgrims registration, NAHCON has introduced online complaint management system located in its Makkah office. This system is to be used by pilgrims during the Hajj to make complaints, if any, on the services rendered to them.
The system has been designed that such a complaint will go to the appropriate officer, and the appropriate officer will take immediate action. If he fails for a certain period, depending upon the nature of the complaint, it will escalate to the next more senior officer, up to the chairman.
The federal government is concluding plans to commence the implementation of Hajj Savings Scheme and also establish the Hajj Training Institute to underscore the importance that President Muhammadu Buhari attaches to training as the key to the success in Hajj management. The federal government is unrelenting in ensuring that contractors meet up with their contractual obligations to pilgrims. Where there are breaches, the monies involved is collected and refunded to the pilgrims.
For 2017, each pilgrim is to receive 12,862 naira 8 kobo as refund, and 2016 are getting 1,265 naira 65 kobo.
I have never in my life experienced a situation where a pilgrim would get a refund of some monies from a service that was not rendered. This time we experienced it. Pilgrims will pay for every service, and if they don't get commiserate to what they paid for, they get refunds. These are good things to see and talk about. It's something that we never experienced before.
In order to carry key stakeholders along in Hajj administration, NAHCON routinely organizes conferences to acquaint them with the ongoing reforms embarked upon by the Commission. During such events, experts are invited to present papers on different aspects of Hajj. One of such conferences was the 2-day Hajj and Umrah Stakeholders Conference and the 10th anniversary celebration of the Commission under the chairmanship of His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, NAHCON, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar. The conference in its communique praised the federal government for granting approval to NAHCON to acquire the Metro Plaza as its national headquarters, commended NAHCON for its giant steps and policy reforms in the areas of accommodation, feeding, medical services, airlift of pilgrims, luggage management, Hajj fare negotiations, licensing of Hajj agencies and commissions. It also noted with satisfaction how the Commission handled the issue of the accreditation of tour operators, pre-qualification of service providers, and its policy on volunteerism to boost service delivery to pilgrims. The conference also acknowledged NAHCON's milestone of ensuring that Nigerian pilgrims are now fully accommodated around the Markaziyya area in Medina with high percentage of direct flights into Medina. The conference urged NAHCON to reactivate the Committee on Women's Special Needs in collaboration with the Muslim Women Organization in Nigeria. On the whole, the story of NAHCON in the last 3 years is one of steady progress towards moving the Commission to greater heights. This has been made possible courtesy of the leadership provided by President Muhammadu Buhari. Apart from providing the enabling environment through its policies and programs, the change philosophy of the administration was also the driving force behind the successes recorded at the Hajj Commission.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد